Hello viewers, and welcome to yet another edition of Corruption Must Go, ICPC's weekly television program. I am your host, Hawasani Garba. ICPC is empowered by law to receive petitions and reports of corruption, investigate them and prosecute offenders, with a view to ensuring that anybody indicted for corruption by the court serves the prescribed punishment and also loses the benefits of the proceeds of the crime. This is in line with the Commission's mission to rid Nigeria of corruption through the deployment of lawful enforcement and preventive measures with a view to produce a Nigeria free from all forms of corruption and corrupt practices. As a prosecuting agency, ICPC can only take a suspect to court after it has established a prima facie case following meticulous investigations. Once in the courts, the Commission will present its case to a logical conclusion. Today on the program, we shall take a look at a few of the hundreds of cases initiated in various courts across the country by ICPC, otherwise referred to as arraignments. But before that, Joy Aja has details of happenings around the Commission.
Hello viewers, thank you for staying with us. I am Joy Aja with Anti-Corruption Stories. The chairman of ICPC, Professor Bolaji Owasonye SAN, has stated the willingness of the Commission to partner with the Chartered Institute of Forensic and Certified Fraud Investigators of Nigeria in order to improve on outcomes of investigation. Professor Owasonye made this known when the council members of the institute paid him a courtesy visit at the Commission's headquarters recently. In his remarks, he stated that the Commission was always looking to engage in mutually beneficial relationships that would improve productivity, especially in the areas of investigation and prosecution of corruption matters.
As far as training staff is concerned, that's welcome. Because if you have the wherewithal to build the capacity of staff, which we don't immediately have, it would be foolish not to take advantage of it. I always tell my staff that when I was in the university, if I know I'm smarter than you, I'll stay away. Not because I'm proud. What am I going to learn? I'll gravitate towards it. So if we've got something to learn, definitely we'll come. We'll come. So it depends on what you're putting in the menu for capacity building and for training, but we'll be very happy to take advantage as time goes on. I think last but not the least, you've proposed a number of partnerships for capacity building, e.g. Act 2, and then capacity building for MDAs of the arms and levels of government. We're not averse to it. It depends on when the proposal comes, we'll look at it very carefully about what you're proposing, and we'll evaluate it from the point of view of our own interest. Whether or not it serves meets our needs and our expectations. If it does, we will be happy to do that collaboration. If it does not, we will politely tell you that it does not.
The ICPC boss revealed that the partnership would cover areas such as staff training, human development, and capacity building. He further assured the visitors of the availability of the Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria, the training arm of ICPC, for their use in line with their request. Earlier in his remarks, the president of the Governing Council of the Institute, Dr. Ibe Gashimbaki, commended ICPC on the good work done, which, according to him, has been evident in an increase in the success rates of prosecution.
Over the years, since you assumed office as the Honorable Chairman, we've seen the success rate in prosecutions. We've seen also the speedy dispatch of investigation activities. A lot of positive landmark achievement so far. So we want to commend you and your entire management team for a job well done. It is for the good of the nation, and we extend our best wishes to yourself and the Commission.
The meeting concluded with an exchange of publications, group photographs, and a tour of the state-of-the-art forensic facilities of ICPC. That will be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Hawa. Please stay with us.
If you are just tuning in, this is Corruption Must Go. A civil servant with the Yobe state government, Muhammad Ali Garba, was arraigned by ICPC for offenses bordering on extortion, impersonation, and forgery. Garba was arraigned before Justice M.A. Hassan of the Federal Capital Territory FCT High Court, sitting in Abuja recently. ICPC counsel Mashku Salisu gives us details.
Well, Mr. Muhammad Ali Garba is standing trial on a 4-count charge of fraud, extortion, and corrupt demands, contrary to the provisions of the Penal Code Act and the ICPC. He's standing trial before the FCT High Court. The offences he's alleged to have committed are using a forged ICPC letter tagged investigation activities and to extort money from provost of Federal Cooperative College, Oji River, in Enugu State. Now he make demand that the provost should pay the sum of 3.5 million naira in order to kill a non-existing petition that is under investigation by the ICPC, and they forged a letter purportedly signed by the Director of Operations, the ICPC. And then, on that note, the provost complaints and brought the complaint to the ICPC, and they asked him to play along. And then the suspect, alongside one other guy, was intercepted at Jesuit's Continental Hotel at Jabi here, Abuja, on a sting operation. So now, after the investigation, we charge him to court, and then he's now standing trial on the 4-count charge. The first count is on forgery, that's forging the letter of investigation by ICPC with intent. And then the second count is corrupt demand, contrary to section 10 of the ICPC. He demanded the sum of 3.5 million naira, which the provost agreed to pay him in dollars. And then we also charge him for making false statements to the officers of the ICPC, because in his statement he said he didn't advance his education beyond primary school, whereas investigation revealed he was actually a graduate of linguistics from University of Maiduguri. The accused person is a civil servant with Yobe State government. So that is actually the brief offences committed by the accused person. Well, for the offence of forgery,
Yes.
we charge him under section 364 of the Penal Code Act. You understand? That's the offence of forgery.
Yes.
Presenting a forged letter of investigation
Yes.
dated 9th May 2022.
Yes.
You understand? Purportedly signed by the Director of Operations. That is the first count. With that offence violates section 364 of the Penal Code Act of the FCT. And then we also charge him for making false statements to the officers of the ICPC, when he now said that he didn't advance further his education beyond primary school. Well, investigation revealed otherwise, that he's actually a graduate of linguistics from the University of Maiduguri. So that offence contravenes section 25 subsection 1 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. And we also charge him for corrupt demanding the sum of 3.5 million naira to kill a non-existing petition. You understand that the provost Federal Cooperative College, Oji River, Enugu State, is under investigation according to him, and then he now sent him that letter.
Yes.
And then that he needs the sum of 3.5 million naira to kill the petition. So we charge him under section 10, corrupt demand, the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act. He pleaded not guilty to all the 4-count charge,
Okay.
and then the case is now set for trial. My advice is that no matter how smart you think you are, ICPC is watching, and that Nigerians should also be wary of people posing as staff of the ICPC to defraud, innocent citizens. And for this, we are going to present hard evidence against him. We have, because it's a sting operation, he was intercepted via sting operations. The evidence against him are overwhelming, and we're going to present that before the court, and he will get convicted, possibly for 7. Some of the counts get 7 years, some 5 years, some 14 years imprisonment. You understand, and that is hard for a young man. So my advice to Nigerians generally is to desist corruption. It doesn't pay. You understand, the long arm of the law is always watching, and ICPC is ever vigilant and ready to apprehend and prosecute the culprits.
In the same vein, a Professor Alex Akpa, Acting Director General of the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA, was arraigned by ICPC on a 4-count charge bordering on fraud, abuse of office and other ancillary offences. Professor Akpa was docked alongside Mr. Famous Dane Muha and Wesley Ebi Siasia, a former member of the governing board and an ex-director of finance and accounts of the agency, respectively. ICPC, in a charge brought before Honorable Justice Inyang Eko of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, had accused the defendants of diverting into private pockets the sum of 400 million naira meant for the establishment of bioresources development centers in 4 states of the Federation. Counsel to ICPC, Golden Iwagu, explains further.
The trial pending at the Federal High Court, Abuja, is against Professor Alex Akpa and 2 other persons, namely Mr. Famous and Wesley Ebi Siasia. Now, Professor Alex Akpa used to be the Acting Director General of the National Biotechnological Development Agency, NABDA. The federal government released the sum of 400 million naira in 2020 for the establishment of 4 national bioresources centers. Now, one of those centers is in Enugu, another is supposed to be in Ondo State, and 2 other states. Rather than carry on the purpose for which the money was released, Professor Alex Akpa and these other 3 persons, because there was actually a 4th person that we had to amend the charge to remove, one architect, Israel Babatunde. He was a board member with Famous. Now, the 4 of them shared the sum of 400 million naira that was meant for the establishment of these centers. Professor Alex Akpa got, from the investigation, got the sum of 260 million of the 400 million. Famous who as at the time was a board member of the agency, got 50 million naira. Israel Babatunde, who is now at large, got another sum of 50 million naira. Then Wesley A.B. Siasia, who happens to be the Director of Finance and Accounts of the agency, got the sum of 40 million naira. So it's for this offense that they are standing trial. Yeah, section where it's actually brought the charge against them is actually brought pursuant to section 18, subsection 2, paragraph D of the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. Well, from the commission, we are prosecutors, so it's our duty to place all the facts available before the court. And when we are doing this, we have one expectation, and that expectation is that they have infracted provisions of the law, and so that the court should find them guilty, convict them, and if the court deems proper, well, in line with the provisions of the Money Laundering Act, they should go to prison. And then any properties linked to them, with regards to this offense, at the point they are convicted, will also pray the court to have those properties forfeited to the federal government of Nigeria. So that's our expectation, God being our helper.
In a related development, ICPC arraigned a director in the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, Dr. Solomon Ita, for alleged diversion of 45 million naira. The ICPC also arraigned Gabriel Nathaniel, a staff in the Accounts Department of the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, over allegations bordering on the diversion of about 3 billion naira from his office. They were arraigned separately before Justice Zainab Abubakar of the Federal High Court, Abuja, where they pleaded not guilty to the charges preferred against them. Osobeni Akwanimesiha, ICPC counsel, gives us details.
The case involving Dr. Solomon Ikbaita is before the Federal High Court, Abuja Judicial Division. The offenses are that Dr. Solomon Ikbaita was the director in the Department of Community Development in the Niger Delta Development Commission. Contracts were awarded from his own department sometimes in 2018. He will now call for NGOs, non-governmental organizations, ask them to submit proposals. They will now award, he will initiate a memo to the MD for approval. When the approval is obtained, what he does is they will pay the money into the account of the NGO. He will later give an instruction to the promoters of that particular NGO and then say they should retain 3 million, 2 million as the case may be, and then send the remaining to either persons he wants to receive the money. Now the offense he contravened, number one, he had conferred corrupt advantage on himself, which he violated section 19 of the ICPC Act. The money he retained in his account amounted to a money laundering offense, and he contravened section 15 of the Money Laundering Act 2011 as amended. But in the current law, as amended, is the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 is now section 18. On that of Gabriel Adejo, he happens to be a staff of Abuja Metropolitan Management Council. Funds were requested for by a user department. User department, I mean the department that was to use that money. They applied, the approval was processed to the level of the FCTA, Federal Capital Development, Federal Capital Territory Administration. The Treasury paid the money. In this instant case that involves Mr. Dejo Nathaniel, on a particular day, that is 6th of February 2015, 771 million naira was paid into his account, a dedicated account which they opened with the Fidelity Bank. The money got in there in the name of some fictitious jobs. The money was collected. The irony of the whole thing is that what will interest the public to know is that the money came into his account from the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council's account in Fidelity Bank to Gabriel Adejo's account, also in Fidelity. That very day, on the 6th of February 2015, when that money hit the account of the defendant withdrew it, 10 million, 10 million, 10 million, until it dissipated the entire 771 million. So his act clearly contravenes the Money Laundering Act. You know, corruption does not pay at all. Whatever act you think you are doing is like a gold. No matter how you bury a gold in the mud, if you dig it out and you wash it, it will still be shining. Corruption is just like that. These cases that we just talked about arose sometime in 2015. But look at the time we investigated the cases and we are now in court. So the people who committed these offenses thought from 2015 to this moment, at the time we investigated the matter, their thought could be that nobody will know. But there's nothing that you can do that you run away with. So my advice to Nigerians is simple. Let us avoid corruption. Let us do the right thing.
Also, the Commission has arraigned a former judge of the Imo State Customary Court of Appeal, Francis Abosi, for age falsification. He was arraigned at the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Maitama, Abuja, on a 3-count charge. The alleged falsification gave rise to a reduction in the former judge's age by 8 years. Mr. Abosi, whose case was reported by the NJC to the ICPC, has since left office on the basis of the ICPC's recommendation. The accused has since met his bail conditions and the hearing continues. The arraignments of suspected corrupt offenders in courts only mark the beginning of a whole legal process in the prosecution of corruption cases instituted by ICPC. While the Commission remains fully committed to the diligent prosecution of its cases to gain justice for the government and the people who are the victims of corruption, the powers to hand out appropriate punishment to those charged lies with the courts. When appropriate punishment is handed out, it serves as a deterrent to other public officers by putting them on notice that corruption does not pay. That's our package on this week's edition. You can watch the program on our YouTube channel at ICPC Nigeria. And don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can also call our toll-free lines to report corruption and also give us feedback on this program on the numbers showing on your screen. See you again next week at 3:30 p.m. on NTA Network and NTA International. Bye for now.